Hi, I'm Jonathan, and this is Smash Trail. Prior to the Industrial Revolution in Great Britain, the state was in high demand for better goods and better imports, but they were from other countries, hence imports, and it was not going to cut it for its rapidly growing population. In the near process of trying to resolve this, they found the main source of fuel, wood, and changed it to coal to increase production. Along with the introduction of coal as a major fuel source, the use of steam power would also become very important in aspects of the Industrial Revolution. This was not the only game changer during this time period either. The Industrial Revolution was also a great era for inventions that would improve and stabilize Great Britain's economy. These inventions consist of the cotton textiles, the spinning jenny created by James Hargreaves, greatly improved engines by James Watt, Edmund Cartwright's power from the loom, and many more inventions sparked the rise of this important revolution. Another important success factor for Great Britain was that it always had a large supply of iron and coal in surplus. During the rise of Great Britain's economy, the city became bigger and busier, all of the cities. More roads were built in the state, as well as canals and railroads that would increase transportation of manufactured goods throughout the entire state. Textiles became very important to Britain's economy as well. These textiles produced a mass amounts of goods very quickly and provided jobs for the provided people of Great Britain. Sorry, I'm holding it. During the Industrial Revolution, the living standards would change drastically as well. More immigrants would come to find jobs in causing cities and become more crowded as time passed by. Living conditions became easier because it was easier to make money and pay the bills. But as the cities became more crowded and dense, public health became much worse because it was easier for diseases to transmit themselves because of such a dense population. Many people became sick easier and faster throughout the spread that would lead to a lower life expectancy in major cities. The middle class was also formed during the Industrial Revolution, so the division of poor and rich came to an end, or at least developed a little bit of gray area. The largest positive effect of the Industrial Revolution was urbanization. After the Industrial Revolution, the majority of people lived in cities, whereas the majority prior lived in rural areas. Now let's talk about Japan. Japan also took part in its own revolution as well. However, this was much different. This was much more towards the future, as it was prior to World War II. Japan was very different from other nations during European imperialism. Now deal with me for this periodization gap, but here we go. Unlike other nations, Japan was able to stand back up from the first wave of imperialism and become a superpower that could rival Europe's own power. This made Japan unable to be colonized, and instead of being a lower nation to be taken over, Japan became an imperial rival to foreign countries. Japan was only able to do this, however, because of the fact that there was no major uprising or obstacle in their way. If there was, then they would have been more like the Ottoman Empire, which survived, but was very weak and mattered little in foreign affairs. The Tokugawa shogunate united Japan over 2 centuries before the Europeans came to imperialize it, and they reunited Japan and maintained peace. Shoguns were on top, as the emperor was only a figurehead, and there were many daimyo that were under the rule of the influence of the shogun. Now, however, these daimyo were treated as higher class people controlling their own regions while under the rule of the shogun. And let's not even worry about the emperor. The Tokugawa shogunate weakened when harsh and corrupt rule started to weaken its power, along with the famine, and the final knot being the intrusion of American Commodore Matthew Perry, who made demands that Japan open up ports and whatnot to the rest of the world. Japan was very isolationist at the time and was forced to agree to unfair treaties like China did. This caused the loss of remaining support for the shogunate and led to the Meiji Restoration.
What the fuck?